Good day, good day, good day. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Pat the Sound Guy, your friendly neighborhood sound guy. And today we're going to talk about old computers and drives and USB sticks and all kinds of stuff. So stay tuned, we're going to get to it. So here's my little friend, one of my few Asus EPCs. This guy is an Asus E1000H. I bought him back in 2012 for $125 used, and that was a pretty good deal back then for a used netbook. Looks like it originally sold at around, between $450 and $650 when it first came out, and that's US. By today's standards, yeah, this guy's pretty slow. It's almost not usable for a lot of tasks if you wanted to put Windows on it. This was originally released with Windows XP Home on it, and you could get it with Linux on it as well. This guy, I used him for quite a long time for running my shows. I was doing, with the band live. This was a great little machine. It was small. You could throw it in your bag and go in the plane. It was a great little rig. But now, not so much. But we're going to make it great. And it has been working fairly well because I have been using it all along. But we're going to show you how I was. And we're going to show you how to even make it even faster than it was. So, first of all, we've got Mr. EPC. Good little machine, except what do you do when you can't use Windows on it? Because, well, Windows XP, see the sticker there, can't use it for anything. It's been well out of date, so what do you do? Story behind this guy is that the hard drive died about 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, and I was able to swap in this hard drive. It had an 80 gig hard drive from the factory. Anyway, I was able to swap this in at an old laptop. The rest laptop itself, the motherboard was dead, so I swiped this out and popped that in there. And I also was able to upgrade the RAM. This originally had 1 gig of RAM. Today that's pretty much nothing. So I put the 2 gig stick of RAM in this and upgraded that. And I've been running it on Linux. Now, I'm a big Linux fan. Let me tell you about Linux. Years ago, when I was working at the music store, working retail, I was doing website work and all kinds of things for marketing for the store. And I was also interested in the Linux thing. So I was toying around with a spare machine, and I installed Ubuntu and was playing with that and kind of got used to it a little bit. And that's about 2007. Maybe when this was new, basically. And then I stopped using Linux for a while, till about not quite 2 years ago. I said, I'm going to get back into Linux. So Linux, all the distributions that we use have come a long way in the last few years. So this guy is currently running Lubuntu, which is a lightweight version of Ubuntu. And it will run on very low-grade hardware. So this guy with a single core 1.6 gigahertz processor, he runs fairly well. You can actually run YouTube at 480 on this. You can surf the web, you can do Facebook. I use this routinely all the time to run my X32 or my Behringer XR12 digital mixers because the apps are available for all the different platforms. So you available for Windows, Mac, Linux, and Linux on Raspberry Pi, also for iOS and Android. So you've got lots of options. So this guy has been a great little unit. The battery still works fine. Batteries, same batteries it had when it came to me used, and I can still get 6, 7, 8 hours out of it. That's what they said from the factory. So it's not bad. Not bad. But today we've got this guy. This is the Tyrosus SSD drive. There's the drive there. Just pull it out of the box. Now, I love these little solid state drives. I've been using these to make machines faster the last little while. There's no moving parts, so nothing to break, nothing to go wrong. And turns out these guys are only 25 bucks on Amazon. And that's Canadian too, here in Canada. So it's a no-brainer because to do this with an expensive SSD is not worth it. You go to the shop, and several years ago I wanted to put an SSD in it, and it was cost prohibitive. It wasn't worth it. So now I'm going to put an SSD in it. It works fine with this old guy, this old laptop hard drive here, but we'll put in a little SSD. I'm going to leave a link in the description to a video to a fellow Canadian who did the bench test, read and write speed test on one of these drives. And apparently it's actually faster than the name brand Kingston drive and another drive. So I'll leave the link in the description. He does a bench test of this, and it comes out faster on top than the name brand guy. So let's start with that. So as you can see, I've already taken out the original hard drive. So there's 2 screws. The bottom plate comes off. I suppose it's the hard drive. I already pulled the 2 screws that attach the hard drive with this little holder inside there. Now for today's testing purposes, we're not going to worry about putting that in this little holder because I like to swap drives around and do experimentation and play with different operating systems and that sort of thing. So we're just going to slide that in there. SATA, it plugs in there just ducky. We'll just temporarily shut this guy up. So now we have a brand new, clean, empty hard drive. We need to show you how to make a bootable USB stick. Step 1 in making a bootable USB stick to install an operating system like Peppermint Linux. Peppermint, minty fresh, Peppermint 10, wonderful thing. This is my operating system of choice for most of my computing needs. Sometimes I use Ubuntu Studio, but this works just great for most of the things you need. So you download and install. So we'll go to the install page. Bang. Now we have to figure out whether our processor is 32-bit or 64-bit. And this little guy happens to be a 32-bit. He's old enough that be 32-bit. So we're going to download the image, which we've already done. So we don't have to do that again. We can go, and we've downloaded that already. And then the next thing you need is Etcher. Well, you don't need it, but this is the easiest way to make a bootable USB stick on most platforms. You can see it goes for Windows, it's for Mac, and for Linux. It's a very quick way to do this and very simple. So we've already downloaded Etcher and installed it. So let's open Etcher. Etcher. And there's Etcher there. We shall put in a USB stick. And we can want to flash from file. So we know that's in the downloads folder. So let's go to the downloads folder. Peppermint. So we've added the image, and we select our target. And there's our target, our little USB stick. And then we can flash it. No problem. I've already flashed this one with the same image that we're going to use, so we don't need to go through that again, make you wait. So pretty darn simple. So let's go back to the netbook and head to the next step. Now that we've made our bootable USB stick, a very handy thing to have. Very, very handy. Can't stress this enough. Now you have a bootable operating system that if you have a problem with your operating system, say Windows gets hosed and it doesn't want to boot, but you want to get all your data, this little guy now, you can boot your machine up with a little USB stick, stick it in there, which we're going to do. We'll start that up. We'll plug it into power. Now we don't really need to, his battery's all charged up. And we can boot this guy. Now you see this guy, we have to figure out, you can get, if you need to get all your data off of something, you can boot this up into the operating system with Linux off the USB stick, stick a portable drive in, and copy all of your valuable data off onto another drive or USB stick. So this is another use for this. You know, maybe your data on the machine you want to make faster is locked in there because Windows died. Well, this is how you get it out. So we'll boot it up and we'll show you how that works. So we boot them up. We have to figure out your particular model. You have to do a Google search on how to boot from USB on your particular model. And this one happens to be, you press escape, and it gets you into a menu. And trackball, so we can show you what we're doing. And so we know that the bottom of the two in the list there is our USB stick. As you can see, it's hard to get this to focus on something on a screen like that, but have to take my word for it. Enter. So now it's going to boot, and it says, let's see if we can get that to show you. Try Peppermint. That's what we're going to do. Try Peppermint. Now it's going to boot off that USB stick. And it's generally very fast. It's not the slowest thing in the world when you're booting from a USB stick because it's a solid state drive, so to speak. So it's going to be pretty quick. See, now we're booting up off that hard drive in there, has nothing on it, all from Mr. USB stick. Like I said before, this is a handy thing to have in your pocket. I spend every day of my life with a Peppermint 64-bit bootable stick. Saves a lot of pain. You can figure out what's wrong with your computer very quickly. Stick that in, boot from the USB stick. If it boots from that and everything works fine, if your audio works and your video works and everything works, then you know your problem's the hard drive. It's a great troubleshooting tool. And there we go. So we got a full operating system here, and we can see, okay, we've got all kinds of different bits of software here. So now what we want to do is we want to say install Peppermint. And that's a pretty simple procedure to install. It's much simpler than you'd ever think it was. So I'm going English, pick whatever language you like. There's lots of great languages out there. We can pick our keyboard layout. Of course, I'm going to use the default English one because, well, I only know how to type in English. So it's internet connection. So this one's a Wi-Fi. So we'll just turn that around and we'll set that up. Now you want to say install third-party graphics and applications and all that kind of stuff, and we want to standard installation. You can do a minimal one. I like to do the standard one. And we wait a second to it come up to the next screen. It'll ask you to name your machine and give it a password. You can decide whether you want to log in with a password or make it unsecure and just boot up into the operating system with no password required. It's all up to you. You know how secure, unsecure you want to be. You can actually encrypt your installation. That I don't know if you'd want to do that or not. It's up to you how secure you need it to be. I don't like encrypting things like that just in case it goes wrong and then my hard drive is toast. Because once you encrypt it, it is not coming back. So this says erase disk and install Peppermint. And if there was already an operating system on here, it would can ask you to install alongside whatever operating system's already on the hard drive, but you don't need dual boots. That gets to be a pain. So erase the disk completely and install Peppermint 10 OS. And of course, let's give it a name. Of course, I require a password to log in. And there we go. So it's installing the operating system. So we'll let it do its thing, and then we'll come back. All right, I'm back. I had a Debbie Downer with this install of Peppermint Linux. Now here's the deal. This kind of failed. Here I was thinking, okay, this is going to be great with this SSD drive. It's going to be that much faster. It's going to be awesome. We'll do a video about it, and it's going to be hunky-dory, because whenever I put an SSD drive in a regular laptop, it speeds it up, and it's great, and it's awesome. Everybody's happy, but not this time. I hang my head in shame. Well, I don't know if it's really my fault or not, but anyway, I put the SSD in, and see in the rest of the video, installed the Peppermint Linux. Now we are installed, and here it is, it's working. Now, this isn't the install that you saw. This is another install. I had to pull out the SSD drive and put in a regular standard spinning hard drive and install Peppermint again. Now, here's the reason why. For some reason, that SSD runs a little hotter, or quite a bit hotter, than a regular spinning hard drive. And that, well, next to the Wi-Fi card was getting overheated, and then the Wi-Fi would shut off. So, what good is the netbook without Wi-Fi? Especially when you want to use it to run equipment wirelessly, at the back of a space, like an event with your mixer up front, and you're sitting there with this Wi-Fi that would die. So that kind of put the damper on the whole SSD idea. And so now here I am with the install completed, and ta-da, we have Peppermint Linux install completed. Here we go. So let's just have a little look-see here at what Peppermint Linux looks like. We got some fun system apps here. My two favorite apps on Peppermint Linux. These are from Linux Mint, and you can actually install these as a package. The USB stick formatter is great for, it's like a replacement for the SD card format tool in Windows, which this is its counterpart in Linux. And I actually only was able to find this when I found Peppermint Linux and decided to try it out. Like, oh, look at this USB stick formatter. It works fantastic. And the USB image writer, this is the same as Etcher. And it's fantastical. It's a great, simple tool. So you select your image here, and you put your if the image had been downloaded, you put your image on, and then you can say, okay, go to the stick that's installed, and then you say right. And then a couple minutes later, you have a bootable USB stick. Just awesome. Just awesome. What else do we have in here? We got Firefox Web Browser pre-installed. The software manager, if you're not familiar with some of these package managers and things and how they work in Linux, this is a very easy way to find some of the real software that's there, that's free and open source. That's the most used pieces of software you'll find in here. So lots of different pieces of software. Look at the Audacity right on top, the audio editor. Cheese is very cool. It is a neat webcam capture program that works pretty well. As you can capture video from your webcam, or you can capture video or actual still pictures. So it's a great little thing. Virtualbox for making virtual machines. That's right there. Gparted, which is, I believe Gparted is in the Yes, gparted is not in the install of Peppermint Linux, but it's on the live boot. And gparted is a partition manager, which is a very handy tool for changing partitions and doing that thing with drives. And so it's a great piece of software for fixing things up. So you can install that. It's great. So all kinds of software there. There's your file manager. There's your terminal. There's a simple media player. So you got everything you need. You got a couple of simple games there. You can install more games from that software manager I just showed you. It's all kinds of stuff. I had to install the screen recorder software, which is Kazam here, so that's what we're using to make this part of the video. Your average simple stuff. You got archive manager, calculator. Archive manager would be unzip, zip software. Very useful. Image viewer, menu editors, all kinds of neat things. So everything you need to get started. You need to install a real Office suite, because these are just links to get to the online counterparts of Microsoft and Google. Yeah, it works fine. If you have that stuff set up, you can actually put in your password for your Microsoft account to make those work. So everything you need is here. Hope you like this video. Give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you smash those buttons. And we will see you on the next one.